Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about who I think are the hardest Shadowhunter characters to fancast. Ever since I did my Infernal Devices fancast, I've wanted to make this video so much because there's 3 people that I just can't seem to cast in my head across the Shadowhunter Chronicles as a whole. So stay tuned to find out just who these 3 characters are, why I think it's so difficult to fancast them, and who I think are the closest but still not the most perfect actors and actresses to play these 3 characters. So, my first character is none other than Jace Herrendell himself. I think Jace is a really hard one to cast because he is in the majority of the Shadowhunter Chronicles. He is in all 6 books of the main Mortal Instruments series. He also reappears in the Dark Artificer series when he is 21. This means that whoever I picture in my head has to be able to change in age but still look like Jace. It's really hard to find one actor that can do all these things at once. So, according to the official Shadowhunter wiki page, which is where I like to fact check everything these days, Jace has curly blonde hair that grows longer, as well as a slim muscular build with broad shoulders. Throughout the Mortal Instruments series, he is described as being very ethereal and angelic looking. He's known as the hot guy of the TMI gang, and Clary literally has trouble drawing him because he is that attractive. So obviously it was Jamie Campbell-Bower who portrayed Jace in the Mortal Instruments film, and overall I did quite like Jamie's portrayal of this character. I think the hair was bang on, and I also think Jamie brought a nice sassy side of Jace that is so ingrained in these books. So I think for a first adaptation, Jamie didn't do too badly. However, one thing I have to pick up on is that I don't think Jamie had enough muscle at that point to play Jace. You can tell that he definitely worked out for the film, but I was just expecting Jace to be this huge stacked god. If anyone has seen the Twilight series, you will also recognise Jamie as playing one of the Volturi members. So I won't lie, whenever I see Jamie, I just always picture him with those like red contact lenses in. I know this isn't Jamie's fault, but I literally cannot help but link the 2 roles together. So for the TV show, it was Dominic Sherwood who played Jace, and please don't come for my neck, but I really did not like this. I don't know if it was because I just really hated the TV show. The fact that Dominic's hair just isn't like Jace hair, like I think it needed to be longer and a bit more tousled, or maybe because sometimes I found his acting just a bit flat and he wasn't like sassy enough like Jace would be with really quick remarks. But it was just a flat no from me when Dominic tried to play Jace. So I've discussed the issue of Jace with my friend, and we think that he's just too perfect and ethereal looking to actually be cast, because realistically no one looks like Jace in real life. But if I had to pick, I think I would take Jamie's sassiness and sarcastic mannerisms and combine it with Alex Pettyfer's looks. For me, I think physically Alex Pettyfer is the closest looking resemblance to Jace, but I think he needs the extra kick that Jamie brings, because in the films I've seen Alex Pettyfer in, he's quite soft and he's like the nice cute guy, the quite like well-spoken love interest, whereas the big thing about Jace is that he is really arrogant and quite hard at the surface. So I think if we could combine Alex Pettyfer's looks with Jamie's sassy personality, that would be my ideal Jace. Next up we have Clary. As you can see, me not being able to decide exactly what Clary and Jace look like is a real issue because they are the main protagonists of the Mortal Instruments series. But unlike Jace, I still do not have a clear picture of what Clary looks like when I read the books. Some of the really important points about Clary is the fact that she's 15 in the Mortal Instruments, so I think for a fan cast, the actress either has to be young or looks quite young in her face. Obviously Clary's hair is a big part of her. It's super long and like curly ginger ringlets. A bit like Victoria, I think, from the Twilight series. That's always how I picture Clary's hair. Clary is obviously really tiny in height and in physical stature as well in the first 6 books, and she's also like a massive tomboy and wears quite boyish clothing. So in the movie, Clary is played by Lily Collins, and I didn't hate it, but when I looked at Lily Collins, I just didn't see Clary. Her hair just wasn't ginger in the film, it was like a different tone of red, and she had these nice like soft movie curls and waves with like a curling iron. I always remember there's one line in one of the books from the Mortal Instruments series when Jace talks about how he wants to like run his fingers through Clary's hair and like undo one of her corkscrew curls. So I just don't think Lily Collins' soft waves really like portrayed this like really important and huge part of the way that Clary looks. Also, I think that Lily Collins looked a bit too old to play Clary in this movie. Obviously Clary is 15, so she has to look a little younger, but I do think Lily Collins made her look way over 20. 2020. However, Lily Collins was better than Catherine McNamara in the TV series, I do have to say. Again, I feel like this is because I really low-key dislike the TV series adaptation, and I really wanted to like Kat as Clary, because in the promo shoots I liked how they did her hair. It was a lot more orange and it had a more defined curl, which I think was a lot more like Clary, but something just didn't add up. I feel like I just didn't see Clary when I watched Catherine McNamara. Like, her acting skills were really good, but I just didn't see Clary and Jace when I was watching. I still can't find anyone remotely similar to how I think she looks in my head. If anyone has seen Famous in Love on Freeform, you will know that Bella Thorne stars in it, and I don't know why, but Bella Thorne gave me major Clary vibes in this TV series. Maybe it was the long curly ginger hair, or the fact that Bella Thorne was quite a tomboyish character in this one, but I got a tiny taste of what I thought Clary could look like when I watched this. Another actress that I am starting to warm to is Molly Quinn. I think she has a really young looking face, and obviously she has the ginger hair, so I do think she's leaning more towards the Clary that I picture in my head, but I'm still not convinced, and I still haven't found my perfect Clary Fairchild. Last but not least, we have none other than the Emma Carstairs. From a personal point of view, for me, Emma is my hardest character to cast because she is my favourite character from the whole Shadowhunter Chronicles. I see a lot of myself in Emma's character, and honestly I have a lot of feelings about her. As you know, there hasn't yet been an adaptation of the Dark Artifices series, so there hasn't actually been any actresses trying to portray Emma Carstairs yet, but we all know that fan art and other dream casts do exist on the internet, so I feel like I've still got something to go off at this point. So a big part of Emma's character is that she is super strong and trains like crazy because she wants to be the next Jace Herrendell. Cassie sort of implies that she's got more of a muscular build and quite like a ripped toned body, and her body is actually described as strong, tough and scarred. So I really hate it when people try to fan cast her as super skinny. Do you know how muscly you have to be to wield Cortana? Emma isn't this really small and skinny character. She is really toned. I've seen a few fan casts where people have chosen a really stereotypically like LA girl who is kind of like plain looking and has like the stereotypical pretty features like the ski slope nose, and I just feel like that's too plain for Emma. Emma's described as having wide cheekbones and a pointed chin, which for me gives me the impression that she's got quite angular features. Angular features like this aren't usually attributed to this really like stereotypical ski slope nose idea of beauty, so I picture Emma as like really striking in the way she looks. Obviously she's still extremely attractive, but I think she's a lot more striking than she is standard typical pretty, if that makes sense. Sometimes when I see these fan castings, I see like a really plain actress cast as Emma, and you have to remember that Emma's actually quite a cool character. Like, she wears loads of vintage dresses with combat boots. She's also got like a sporty vibe. She really likes to train and she wears lots of like sporty slacks, but she's also a bit dorky. I remember there's a few references to t-shirts that she wears that say like I love LA on them. Basically, Emma is a really cool character, and she deserves a lot more than like a plain boring fan cast. The most important thing that I've seen in fan castings that people get wrong is Emma's hair. Julian is obsessed with this girl's hair. He has spent the most of his adult life painting her hair and always talks about just how amazing it is. If I see one more person fan cast Emma with really dull, flat, lifeless hair, I will actually scream. I don't know how you guys see Emma's hair, but I always imagine it being like super thick with a bit of a wave, possibly because she lives by the ocean. It might have like a bit of like a sea salt wave to it, but it's never dull and flat and just like dead straight, because who is going to be painting really dull, flat hair? Not Julian. Even though it's so hard for me to pick a particular actress to play Emma, I will not leave you guys with nothing. I've seen quite a few good fan arts that use Catherine Newton as Emma, and I really like Catherine's hair. It's super long with like a defined curl and it's quite pale blonde. She's also got quite like a straight nose, which I think is quite like a nice angular feature of her face. Another person that I'm also starting to like as Emma is Sabrina Carpenter. Not only does she definitely have Emma's hair, but she's also got Emma's slightly pointed chin. However, I still don't think the rest of her features are angular enough, and I don't think she looks physically toned and strong enough to play Emma either. Again, going back to my previous comment about being stereotypically attractive, Sabrina is just so pretty, but I don't know if she has that sense of edginess that I always think of when I think of Emma. Recently, I found a girl on Instagram who is a musician called Laurel, and the moment I saw her, I instantly saw a bit of Emma in her. She's got Emma's super long blonde hair, Emma's brown eyes, and she also wears so much vintage stuff. enough. She is quite slender though, and I don't think she's strong enough to play Emma, but looking at her face, she is the closest resemblance of the Emma in my head. I also really like Ellie Goulding as an older version of Emma Carstairs. I won't lie, I am low-key obsessed with Ellie, but if you follow her on Instagram, you know that she's super into her fitness. She does loads of like boxercise and kickboxing. She's super toned as well, and I also think she's really striking like Emma is. As I said, I'm still not sure that I found the perfect Emma Carstairs or the way that she looks in my head. This is definitely a personal thing though, because I just love the character so much, and you know when you just love a character and relate to her and you just feel like no one can ever match up. That is totally where I am with Emma at this point. So that's the end of this video and the end of my massive rant and discussion over who I think are the 3 hardest Shadowhunter characters to cast. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts on what I've said in this video, and if you think you found the perfect actor or actress to play any of these 3 characters. I am so intrigued because honestly I find these 3 characters near impossible to fan cast, so I'd love to know your guys' suggestions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.